Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We'll break it up a little bit. We've done a bunch of counterfeit and or fake cards up to this point, comparing them to either the same card in the real variety or something similar that we can use as a direct comparison from the same era. Now, I've had these for quite a while, and I'd like to apologize that I didn't do more with them at the time. Silver Snorlax was kind enough to send me a bunch of cards that he had. One of his little experiments. If you haven't checked those out, make sure you do. He usually posts most of the information on E4. So this experiment, he had some stuff taped off. He was looking at sun damage on a Pokemon card, both in the case and outside of the case. It turns out the case doesn't really matter a whole lot. He can correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't think it offers any UV protection whatsoever, at least in terms of these PSA cases that he had them in. I don't know if he ended up posting anything about the results of how long these took, but maybe I'll post this in the Microscope thread on E4, and he can provide some information on how long they were in the sun. You'll see that some of them are split down the middle, if not, I think all of them. So he masked off one side of the card and then had the other exposed to sunlight for a while. So you'll have to forgive me that some of this stuff is not going to show up at the green screen. But to give you an idea, we have a Walrein here. We have a Scyther, which is probably the most exciting example. And kind of cool that we see where the green remains, because that's the part that's being removed from the green screen. We have a Carvanha. And then just to switch it up, we have this Topps Venusaur. Unfortunately, some cards did have to suffer in this process. I had nothing to do with it. I probably personally would have gone with some less expensive stuff, but it was probably a lot less expensive at the time as well. Alright, so first, this Poliwrath is not super exciting, unfortunately. So let's see, let's make sure we're zoomed out. We're going to see a trend here, and that trend is that primarily your yellow ink is going to disappear first. So you see the border on that side is almost completely gone, even though that was a solid yellow border like it is on this side. This is an Evolutions Poliwrath for reference. So we have our solid border gone. And then our blue has started to fade a little bit. So this is the faded side. And then this is the not faded side. So not super exciting. Most of the card is blue. Even the artwork is mostly blue. So we're seeing that not a whole lot has happened with that. I say blue, but basically that's the majority of this this Poliwrath is cyan dots. So if we zoom in on them, actually let's zoom in on some of this blue here, and then we'll turn our light up a little bit. The card is almost exclusively cyan dots, so we can go over to one side. This is the, let's take us out here for a second so we can get some coordinates. This is over on the faded side. We'll zoom in, and then we will focus. So we have our cyan dots, almost exclusively cyan dots. And then if we go over to the other side, we'll zoom out, we'll zoom back in. We can focus. So it looks like we did lose a little bit of magenta that might have been mixed in. But that could also be just the region that we're in on the card itself. there's darker spots. So it looks like we did lose some magenta, but nothing like crazy that sticks out when you first look at the card, other than the fact that the yellow is gone. So I think it's pretty safe to say that yellow is going to be one of the first colors to go, as well as magenta. And I'm pretty sure they leave the card in that order. I guess I forgot to show this Zapdos. So let me have Zapdos from Evolutions here. And you can see here on him as well, we lost our border. We lost our yellow border. This is the sun bleach side. Now if we go over to the other side, we have our yellow still. On the Zapdos itself, you can kind of see here that he's albino on one side. So you often see people saying that they have an albino card. Chances are, if the yellow is missing, it's just the sun that did that, not necessarily a printing error of any kind. So we can see here we have some magenta still in his beak, and over here in his foot. So I'm going to say that our yellow is the first color that's going to leave when exposed to the sun. And then after that, it looks like we're losing some of the magenta. We can compare, maybe we can compare both his feet. So that foot and that foot, if we can get them both on screen. So we're starting to lose some magenta here. Or at least it's faded at this point. He'll have to let us know, and maybe I'll post them in the description or a pinned comment in regards to how long this was actually in the sun. I'm quite certain from what he told me, it's been a while now, but I think he told me that they were in direct sunlight for quite a while. I don't know if he propped them up in a window, but this is the result. So I think it's safe to say at this point, looking at these first couple cards, that our yellow is the first thing that's going to go. Then our magenta is on its way out at this point, and I would imagine if you left it in the sun longer, the magenta would be gone. Let's see here. Let's see if we can get any other colors. So it looks like we have some cyan in here. If we can focus. And then a bunch of black. So it doesn't look like our cyan really faded at all. It's still kind of turned our lightning bolts here from, as you can see over on this side, purple. Brought us over to more of a blue color, but that's probably, again, because our magenta is leaving the card. It's faded. So that might be a good sign that our cyan is going to stick around long term, which makes sense because the cards that we're looking at all sort of follow that same trend. Here we go. This one's a little bit boring as well because we're looking at a wall ring here, and if it looks weird, it's because it's still in the case. So here we go. So I guess here in his mouth we do still have magenta. It's kind of cool on the hollow foil there. But so this side is the, let's see here. This side is the faded side, so our yellow is long gone, even around the border where it's at its thickest. As we've seen, it's pretty much a solid yellow all the way around the border, but that's already long gone. Here it is over on this side where it wasn't exposed to sun. So at this point, our cyan is still, I think, almost entirely sticking around. Here we turn into more purples because our magenta is there within those blue dots. We can see most of that is faded out. Again, reaffirming the fact that we're going to lose yellow, then we're going to lose magenta. Maybe I should be putting these back out in the sun to see if we can bring them even farther from what they are now. I have some nice some windows for this. So to continue the experiment. We can zoom right in on here. We can see we still do have some magenta in there, but we can kind of see where it's fading out, which makes sense. It's kind of what we thought was going to happen. So I don't know if this one might have not been in the sun as much. So we still have those little traces, or there might have been so much magenta in this area that maybe there's just a little bit remaining. So let's set him aside. All right, let's look at Carvanha now. And we'll zoom out. Here we go. So we got our albino Carvanha over here. Again, we got a little bit of magenta left. Our yellow border is entirely gone. Any yellow that was within the image itself, which there are parts of the Carvanha that are yellow, and you can see here on his fin, all of a sudden where it was covered up, the yellow is still in existence, and where it wasn't is gone at this point. So I don't think there's a whole lot here to discover. I would imagine that the same thing happened to this one, and it's probably in there, in the window, or in the sunlight for a similar amount of time. Let's take a look at Venusaur. Alright, so this is a little bit different. It's a different, I don't know who printed these. These are tops, but I don't know if it was a similar company, if they use similar ink. I'm not super familiar with these. So we can see here that as we pull over into the area that was covered, we have our yellow, we have our magenta, and our cyan seems to survive quite a while. So we got our cyan, or blue, is throughout the whole card still, as well as our black still stays pretty sharp. So if I had to guess, I would say that cyan would be the next color that would leave the card. But yeah, anytime you probably see a Pokemon card that looks like it's just the blue layer left, chances are someone just put it in the sun. Or it might have a little bit of that magenta, like his eyeball there. This other eyeball over here that got more sun. It's almost entirely gone. If we put it back in the sun, I'm sure that would disappear. Maybe we'll do a part 2 of this after I leave them in the sun long enough to completely get rid of the. We'll tape up one side. Continue the project that Silver Snorlax started. All right, and then the most interesting one I think that he sent me is definitely this Scyther. So this guy looks like he wasn't in the sun quite as long, because we still have a little bit of yellow on this side. As we pull it over, we'll see it gets very yellow. So this is the covered or protected part of the card. But the most interesting part is the Scyther himself. So you can see here the standard green on the right, where the yellow and the cyan combines to make the Scyther green. On one side he's more of an icy blue, because the cyan is still there, but the yellow is long gone. And then I think this is the most drastic difference. So you can kind of get a good idea of exactly what's going on there. And I've seen people post cards that look like this, so chances are they probably just sun bleach them, or someone sun bleached them and passed them off. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys want to see anything else in regards to these cards, certainly let me know, and I'll have to get in touch with Silver Snorlax to see if he has anything to add. Maybe that can be part of the follow-up video. That, or as I said, I can leave the details down below, or at least a link to his information if he wants to post that in regards to what he did for the experiment, and then I can continue that off and take some notes on how long I leave them in the sun as a part 2. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.